Okay, let's dive into this. Just think about the sheer volume of things we compare. From debating the best cities to visit, to weighing the prices on a lunch menu, all the way down to analyzing our own moods from one day to the next. Comparisons are literally the ultimate conversational tool for precision. Without them, our language is just flat. But with them, we can describe the world around us exactly as we experience it. And the beautiful thing is, Italian works in the exact same way.
So here is our roadmap for the explainer today. Step by step, we're going to get you sounding like a local. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the human habit of comparing.
Now, that impulse to compare is universal, absolutely. But the mechanics in Italian, they are beautifully different from English. See, in English, we kind of morph our words. We change big into bigger or fast into faster. Italian, however, generally does not change the adjective itself at all. Instead, it relies on these really powerful helper words, più, meno, and tanto.
Moving right along to Section 2, saying more or less.
These are your comparative forms of majority and minority. Basically, the exact tools you need for when those conversational scales are completely tipped to one side. The formula for expressing when something is greater or smaller is super straightforward. First, choose your helper weight, più for more or meno for less. Then, just drop in your adjective, adverb, noun, or verb. Finally, follow it up with either di or a k to mean than. It is truly that simple to build the foundation.
Let's look at this in action, shall we? Roma è più grande di Firenze. Rome is bigger than Florence. Notice how the adjective grande doesn't change at all? There's no grandeur. It's the helper word più doing all the heavy lifting to show that majority.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the whole thing works in reverse. Milano è meno caotica di Roma. Milan is less chaotic than Rome. Here, meno tips the scale the other way.
Okay, a quick but absolutely vital detour here. When your comparison uses di and the next word requires a definite article, like the book, Italian uses what we call an articulated preposition. It merges di with the article for this really smooth, rolling conversational flow. So di plus il becomes del. Di plus la is della. Then we have dello, del, de, deli, and delle.
All right, on to the big one. Section 3, choosing between
di and che.
You use di when you are comparing nouns and pronouns, and you use che when you are weighing two adjectives, two verbs, two complete ideas, or prepositional phrases against each other. That's the whole secret.
Let's prove the rule. Maria è più alta di Giulia. Maria and Giulia are proper nouns, so boom, we use di. Or how about Luca studia più di me? Luca studies more than me. Me is a pronoun, so again, we use di. Anytime you are comparing people, places, or things directly to each other, di is your go-to, for sure.
But look at what happens here. Questo esercizio è più difficile che lungo. This exercise is more difficult than it is long. We aren't comparing two exercises here. We're taking one single exercise and weighing two totally different adjectives against each other, difficile and lungo. Because we are comparing adjectives, che jumps in to do the job. And check this out. Here is the secret logic behind those prepositional phrases. Andare in treno è più comodo che in autobus. Why on earth do we use che here? Well, because the prepositions imply an underlying repeated action. What you are really saying in your head is, traveling by train is more comfortable than traveling by bus. You are comparing two verbs, two actions. Therefore, you're forced to use che. Understanding that invisible repeated verb makes the whole rule make perfect sense, doesn't it?
Next up, Section 4, expressing perfect equality.
So far, we've tipped the scales up and down, but to express similarity or perfect equivalence, Italian offers two wonderfully balanced structures. First, you have tanto, combined with quanto. This is your most flexible tool. It literally works for any situation. Alternatively, you have così, combined with come, which is generally reserved just for adjectives and adverbs. Oh, and here's a fantastic practical shortcut for everyday speech. In informal conversations, the first word, the tanto or the così, is often entirely omitted if the context is clear. Talk about a time saver. Let's see how this builds a perfectly balanced comparison. Roma is tanto bella quanto Firenze. Rome is as beautiful as Florence. See? The scale isn't tipping. Tanto and quanto sit on either side of the adjective bella, holding two stunning cities in perfect equivalence.
And here is that alternative structure. Questa film è così interessante come il libro. This movie is as interesting as the book. This works beautifully here because interessante is an adjective. Now, you could just as easily say tanto interessante quanto, but having both of these structures in your toolbox gives your spoken Italian so much more variety and rhythm.
And that brings us to section 5, making nouns match perfectly.
This is the final grammatical nuance. And the absolute crucial point is this. When we use tanto and quanto with adjectives or verbs, tanto stays exactly as it is. It never changes. But the moment tanto is placed directly next to a noun, it becomes a chameleon. It is forced to shift its shape to agree in gender and number with that specific noun.
Let's look at some plural forms to see this in action. Take the sentence, Ho tanti amici quanto te. I have as many friends as you. Because amici is a masculine plural noun, tanto morphs into tanti. But what if the noun is feminine? Like, abbiamo tante lezioni quanto loro. We have as many classes as they do. Lezioni is feminine plural, so tanto shifts again, this time into tante.
And the exact same rule applies to singular nouns. Say, Maria has as much patience as her mother. Patience, pazienza, is feminine singular, so we use tanta pazienza. On the flip side, what if Luca drinks as much coffee as tea? Café is masculine singular, so tanto café.
You now have the exact structured tools you need to weigh the world around you in perfect Italian. So here is my final question for you. What will you accurately compare next in your daily conversations? Take these formulas, look around your room, your city, or your life, and start tipping those conversational scales.